everyone, it's me Catherine, and today I'm here to bring you my spoiler-free review for Uprooted by Naomi Novik, which is a fantasy standalone that follows our main character Agnieszka, who lives in a small, quiet village that is relatively normal, except for the fact that it is bordered by a dark, malevolent, corrupt wood that every so often tries to do the village in. Fortunately for this village and their neighbouring villages, they have a lord who is a wizard that protects them and helps keep the wood at bay. And all that he ever asks for them is one daughter every 10 years that he takes to his tower to serve him. And our main character Agnieszka and her best friend Kasia are up for this year's choosing, where the dragon comes down and picks one of the girls to take to his tower, and everyone knows it's going to be Kasia because she's the best, she's the prettiest, she's the bravest and the best of the lot of them. Only when the choosing actually happens, it's not Kasia that the dragon takes, it's obviously our Agnieszka, and the story really takes off from there. So yeah guys, so this is a fantasy standalone. I was unsure going into this how it was going to work because there's a reason fantasies tend to be series rather than standalones, because they're made up worlds that just take time to build and to get the plot going and everything and the characters and whatever. So I was a bit unsure going into this how it was going to work, and honestly I really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy it. I also really enjoyed the fact that it was a standalone, like there's no commitment. There's just this one book and that was it. I mean, I'm not saying I won't read more if she ever did more for Uprooted, because there could be so much more. But honestly, a lot happens in this book. A lot is packed into however many pages this is in, and it happens, everything happens relatively quickly. It's once, the first part is probably the slowest part of the entire book, but once that gets going, once that's gone, once the book really gets going, it's really fast paced to get through everything that happens. And I really enjoyed that. It was nice, it was different, it wasn't too heavy like fantasies sometimes can be, getting bogged down in building these worlds and creating everything, because although it is a fantasy, we don't actually see much of the world itself. So I think that's why it works as a standalone, because there's not much that you need to know for you to understand how things work. There's little things, but they're obviously explained to you as you go and you pick them up as you go. But for the most part, there's not much to it, so that's why I think why this works as a standalone. So this is definitely, I won't say lacking, but there's definitely less of the world that you really need to see. It's more about the people and the events that take place than where it is. So the characters. So this story is told from Agnieszka's perspective. She's told from first person, so we see everything through her eyes, and as a main character I do really like Agnieszka. She can be a little bit annoying, a little bit irritating, and a little bit too good, I think. I mean, that's not a bad thing. Being a good person is not a bad thing, but sometimes you can be a bit too good and a bit irritatingly, I want to save everybody. But that's where the dragon is sort of Agnieszka's opposite. He's sort of this cold, distant, I mean he's like over 100 years old, so he's seen death. He's more accepting of deaths and reality, and how that, you know, you can't save everybody. So they're opposites, but that's why I think they work together as a pair to sort of balance each other out. So I really like that. I really like the relationships between Agnieszka and everybody anyway, because she's someone who cares very deeply about where she's from, about her family, about her friends. We have a great friendship in here between Kasia and Agnieszka. And it's not perfect, because what friendships are without their bumps and stuff, but for the most part those two are great friends, and Kasia is sort of, I think, one of the main motivations for why Agnieszka does everything that she does. I mean, it's sort of the catalyst really that starts things really rolling in this story. So their friendship and their relationship between each other and the way that they take care of each other and protect each other, I really enjoyed that in this. And one of the things I do like about Agnieszka is that she never tries to be something that she's not. She doesn't like to pretend to be some things that she's not, and in moments when she has to try, it's sort of, she's very awkward and things don't tend to work out as well as when she's just being herself and doing things her way. She does get into a mess. I'm not going to say she doesn't, I'm not saying she does everything perfectly, she does get into a mess, but she's usually the one that does fix it. She realises when she's done wrong and she does her utmost to try and make it better. So I do really like Agnieszka as a character, despite her niceness, her good sort of irritating me a little bit, but maybe that's just me, because I don't think I could ever be that nice or that good, or I mean, you don't know until you put into those situations. So I think that's why good people tend to annoy me, because I know that I don't think I could ever be that good of a person. So that is a thing. So the friendship is a lot of why Agnieszka does things, and for her family and her neighbours and her village and the neighbouring villages and everything, she does what she can to protect them. And then we have Agnieszka's relationship with the dragon. I mean, if you're suspecting romance because he's a guy and she is a girl, then you are correct in those assumptions. There is a romance aspect to the relationship between Agnieszka and the dragon, but it's not a big deal, it's not a lot of it. It's not a main motivation for the characters, really. Obviously it's told from Agnieszka's perspective, so obviously we see it all. We see her feelings for the dragon developing and sort of growing and becoming something maybe a little more than just like friends, if they were ever really friends to begin with. But they had something going on, and I guess friends, but the dragon is sort of one of those hard characters that is really hard to know, and because we don't see anything from his perspective, it's hard to know really what he's thinking and how he's feeling. So it's all Agnieszka's interpretation and what she sees. But I really enjoy the relationship between the two of them, and the fact that she irritates him to no end because of how opposite from him that she is. But I really enjoy that dynamic between them and how they sort of make it work. How they make it work is obviously the most important thing, how they get through and realise that no, they're not the same, but they can sort of adapt to each other and maybe learn a little bit from each other and make it work, and I really, really enjoy that. I also really like the fact that Agnieszka is a tall protagonist, and I mentioned this in Truth Witch, that I really like the fact that Safia is tall. Agnieszka is also tall, and I enjoy that she's on a level with the dragon as well. He's not some 6 foot whatever that towers over her, they're on a level with each other, and I always really enjoy that. So that is also a thing. So plot wise, like I said, there is a lot in this, and it all basically is based on the wood and the corruption in the wood and how it's trying to take over, and it's our characters who are trying to sort of push it back and stop it from spreading and getting any worse, and if they can, sort of destroying it if that's possible. And a lot happens around that. There's a lot that goes on in this book, but it happens fairly quickly. Nothing's really dragged out too much. The first bit is the bit that drags the most, which I think you find in most books, because the first bit is sort of establishing the storyline and the characters, but once that's out of the way, it's just sort of go after that, which I really liked. And overall, I just really enjoyed this as a standalone, and I really want to get into some more Naomi Novik, because I know she has a series that I want to get into that is probably going to be great, so I really want to read more about that. But that is it, guys, for this spoiler-free review. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are if you've read this. Obviously be careful of spoilers, guys, and I will hopefully see you in another video. Bye! Hey everyone, it's me, Catherine, and today I'm here to bring you my spoiler-free review for Uprooted. Did not swear.